Most amateur tracks sound a little bit like this. But your reference tracks sound more like this. Same genres, same tools, but one sounds like a robot on steroids while the other one grooves like crazy. So what do most producers do to solve this? They slap on random groove presets or add swing to their elements without any purpose whatsoever, hoping it will add some feel to their tracks. Spoiler, that doesn't work. The problem is that no preset will save you if you don't understand the fundamentals of groove and rhythm in electronic music. What you need is a proven system to infuse your tracks with groove in a purposeful way. The pros build groove from the ground up following three principles that have to work together. Now I call this the groove triangle: accent, space, swing. These principles support each other, so that means if one of them is missing, the whole groove collapses. And the first principle, the one that 95% of producers already skip, is accents. Let me show you. Let's focus on just the drums for a moment and see if you can spot the difference. So at a first glance, you probably say, oh, he just added a bunch of stuff. Well, that's only half of the truth. So electronic music at its core lives in this constant tension and duality between stability on the one hand and movement on the other hand. If you sacrifice too much stability for too much movement, it just gets weird. And this is what happens when you slap groove presets randomly on your track. So you have to design your MIDI programming in a way that actually accents certain hits that create movement while still preserving the stability. So in most electronic music genres, the kick drum is on the on beat 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have the hi-hat on the offbeat 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If you want to strengthen that offbeat, what you can do is you can place additional hits on some of these offbeats. And this is exactly what I've done here with this tom hit, and then on this bar here you have a second different tom hit a little bit lower. This once again gets grounded by the clap that's actually happening once again on the on bit. 1, 2, 3, 4 is the kick drum, and on the 2 and the 4, which has a little bit of an offbeat feel because it's just the second and the fourth hit, you have these claps. But once again, we add a little bit more energy here at the end so that you get more excited going back into the beginning of the loop. And there's one little secret here, and that is this almost non-visible note here. This is called a ghost note, and that's actually a very specific one. This is what's often referred to as hi-hat flam. So a little bit of an open hi-hat, very low velocity, that is almost directly placed at this hi-hat hit here. And as you can see, they're moved apart a little bit. So the hi-hat hits actually have a little bit of swing, but just the hi-hat is moved slightly to the right. I'll come to that a little bit later. And this open hi-hat is coming right before it. And this creates a very, very nice movement in the track. So listen to these ghost notes and see what they're doing to the track. Now the last but probably most important step when it comes to accents is the velocities. So as you can see, these hits don't have one straight velocity. Now what a lot of producers do, and this is a huge mistake, is they just select everything and they click here on the randomize function, and then maybe they change how much they deviate. But all of that, it's supposed to humanize the groove, but it is with no purpose. And this is a huge issue because that takes away from the stability that your track actually needs. So what you can do instead is you think about what each note is supposed to do for the groove. Is it supposed to emphasize the energy that creates the stability, or is it supposed to emphasize the offbeat? Now, as you can see here, a lot of these initial kick drum hits are a little bit louder than the other ones because they have the most gravity. When we look at just the hi-hats, you can see that the first hi-hat is like a little bit higher velocity than the second one. And then lastly, you have these tiny details of with these double hits, you don't want them to have the exact same velocity because that creates this machine drum sound that you don't want in your music. So here, these claps, one of them is louder, one of them is a little bit lower. Same for the kick drum. First kick drum is a little bit louder, the second one is a little bit lower. This is purposeful velocity design. Designing these accents is probably the most important part of this groove triangle, but it doesn't work without the other two principles. You just add a bunch of hits to your drums, but then they don't have the space to breathe in your whole production. Everything collapses. So if we use our new drum loop, but we combine it with the old shaker loop that's on top, the old bass, and the old lead, watch what happens. It sounds more busy, but not any more groovy. So let's take a look at the old bass line in combination with the new drums. But what if we just take away some of these notes and we actually purposefully design a groove that works together with our drums? So the special sauce here is how I actually placed those notes on the grid. So some of them support the stability. So the first one actually happens with the first kick drum hit, this one as well, and this one as well. But as you can see, there are a lot of notes that are placed at, like, it looks like almost random timing, but it actually creates this dotted eighth feel in the bass line. I've actually made a video specifically on bass lines in which I cover this in detail. But this is what emphasizes the movement in the track. Some parts of the drums support the stability. Some parts of the bass line support the stability. But then we leave open space, first of all, and we place notes in spaces between some of the hits. And this is what creates this syncopated movement. But what happens if we combine this new bass, the new drums, with the old lead and the old shaker line on top? Let's see if that works. Well, it's getting a little bit better at least, but we definitely need even more space. I'll show you a really cool technique that you can use in a lot of sequences, but especially in this one, in Sting, because it actually has an accent setting in here. And you can scale how these accents, meaning the velocity, how it's actually being emphasized inside that sequence that gets sent to the synthesizer. So if we look at pretty much the same identical line here in the other Sting, as you can see, all these accents have pretty much the same velocity. They're almost identical. Now let's look at our new sequence. Even it's pretty much the same notes here. Actually, some of them don't have any accent. Yeah, and this creates empty space in the sequence. And the ones that aren't as bright here, these are the ones where, yes, the synthesizer is getting some information, but it is much more subtle and there's playing with the velocity here. So this creates space in the overall sequence. Now, there's still one secret here hidden in plain sight, which directly relates to the last principle of the groove triangle. Now I'll get to this in a minute, but before, if you struggle with finishing songs, I have a free gift for you. It's called the Finisher Framework. My 3 simple steps to finish at least one great sounding song per month. That is exactly what you should get to, and I think it's totally realistic. You can get it at pickyourself.com/framework completely for free. The link is also in the description. So the question is not whether you can or cannot use swing in your genre. The question is, how do you use swing in a way that is actually supporting the movement without killing the stability in your track. So if I just go to the groove pool and I grab some random swing and put it onto my drums, for example, it will kill the complete production and it will just create some mess because it doesn't really relate to the rest of the elements, and it probably also doesn't fit your genre. Now put yourself into the shoes of a DJ who wants to mix your track with someone else's production. If you add a lot of swing to your kick drum, for example, they will not even be able to beat match it correctly. It will just create one big mess and no one's going to play your track. But if you apply swing the right way, it will actually be possible to mix it in with other productions without destroying anything, and it will actually sound quite cool. So what a lot of producers don't know is that you can actually add grooves in Ableton right to an audio clip, and this is exactly what I've done here with this shaker loop. So this is the exact same shaker loop, but with the groove added in a really purposeful way. What you have to do is you select that groove that you want and you pull that onto your shaker loop, and then you apply it. Not only does it warp it slightly differently, but it also changes the velocity of what you're playing. If we just listen to this, too much of our shaker loop has vanished. Just select the complete velocity, scale it up a little bit, and then you have some of these accents built inside your groove. So why did I pick this groove specifically, you might ask? Well, I picked it because it works super well with the rest of my drums. It actually gives me exactly that bit of movement that I was still missing here. And this is something you have to hear and to test out. It's not something that you can just plan before. Now, movement in electronic music also often comes from the information that you get from the sides. This is why dotted eighth delays work so well. And I've actually done a couple of things here to support that side movement. So in the shaker, for example, not only do I have the groove accenting specific hits, I actually also have a little bit of auto pan here, which helps fluctuate. As you can see, I set the rate to 1/3 of a bar. So this means it's not statically going on 1, 2, 3, 4, but actually changing a little bit. And I only have a little bit of that in. That slightly opens up the stereo spectrum. And the thing that you have probably not even noticed that much is what happens with the lead. So in the lead, not only have I added a little bit of swing, now listen to the difference with 0 swing. And this is the setting that I chose. Creates this automatic pull movement. It kind of pulls you, and it's really magnetic and interesting sounding. Now, if I over-exaggerate this, you will notice how the swing becomes a problem. If you're in a genre like tech house, for example, this might still be doable, and you have to see how you mix it in with other tracks. But in something like techno, it's probably not a good idea to go to these super high swing values. What you've probably not even noticed is that there's actually some side energy also coming from the lead sound. This is because we have the echo here set to dotted 8s and actually sped the left side a little down and the right side a little up to create even more separation. And then we have a little bit of a grain delay creating a backbeat, meaning accentuating the syncopation even more. And all of that then goes into a reverb. So if you listen closely to just the lead sound, this is actually making a difference. This groove triangle framework has not only helped myself, but also hundreds of artists we've coached and mentored. So if that's something you're interested in, if you want personalized help, check out pickyourself.com/coaching. My team and I would love to get to know you and work with you on helping you finish music you're actually proud of. All you need to do is go to pickyourself.com/coaching. The link is also in the description. And if this video was helpful and you also want to learn about how to create incredibly groovy bass lines, check out that video next.